Mariners pull off a trade here. They acquire, again, Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins in exchange for 4 players. Topa being the most notable, Justin Topa. Anthony DeSclafani goes. And then a couple of prospects in Gabriel Gonzalez, an outfielder, and right-handed pitcher Darren Bowen. What is your first reaction? Your first instinct when you heard this? Are you like, yes, or that's too much, that I'm surprised they gave up so little? Give it to us.
Well, I'm going to let you in on this. This is somebody that they've been after for a while. This is the piece of the puzzle that they were hoping to land. And because of the fit in the lineup. And so the only thing I was nervous about is who they were going to let go of. And definitely hurts to lose Topa. Gonzalez, it's a very nice prospect, but they are building up offensively in the minor league system. They have hitters, so they can afford.
Teenager?
He might be 19 still. He played at Modesto last year.
Okay.
So they can afford to do that. And
Bowen, any thought on?
No thought on Bowen. And then DeSclafani, kind of had the feeling he wasn't going to be here very long.
Not with that salary.
And then the money's going to come close to balancing out with, I believe they're sending $1 million to Minnesota. You had $12 million with DeSclafani and around $1 million, I think, for Topas. So it all works out. But this was more about rounding out that lineup, and we've been talking for years about looking for that second baseman. And Polanco has got the track record. You mentioned he is a switch hitter. He is an everyday player. And had some injury problems last year, some leg injuries that kind of nagged him throughout the year, but has put up consistent numbers, has hit in the top part of the order. And play him against lefties, play him against righties. And so you get him at second base, and then you upgrade third base as well. Because now Urias is not your full-time third baseman anymore. You're likely to look at a platoon of Urias and Rojas at third base. And Rojas is more natural at third base. That's actually his more preferred position.
Hey, so are you concerned about the injuries? Because it looks like, last year he played in 80 games. The year before that, 104, and then 152, and then there's another year, 55. Do you know the nature of the injuries, and is it concerning?
No. 55 is the strike. Is the COVID year.
Oh, yeah,
so
that was the COVID year.
Played 60 games.
It hasn't been for the most of last year was actually kind of more of an anomaly for him, and he played through it. But he can deliver power. Decent-ish with the strikeout rate, good with the walk rate, and very accustomed. He's mainly hit 1, 2, or 3 in the order. And I think the thing just to not miss here is it upgrades 2 positions, basically.
Oh, because of the platoon at third.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like this move a lot, actually. And I'm curious from Minnesota's perspective, what was their motivation, do you think? I don't know what their system is, if they got a young second baseman ready to go, or they saw something in these 2 prospects that maybe, we're not that dialed into these guys. What
we heard from the beginning is they were a team that was affected by what's going on with the TV situations, and they were expected. You remember you heard a lot about Max Kepler perhaps being available. They did not want to let him go. Polanco is someone that they had a little bit more flexibility in what they could do in the infield. And so a lot of this is salary on their part, that they did have to lose some salary. And also that they are looking, and they were one of the few teams that was interested in prospects. There have not been very many prospects that have been exchanged this offseason. It's mostly been major leaguer for major leaguer, and this was a team that you could do that with. My understanding is they were really kind of digging in on a Miller or a Wu, and the Mariners just didn't want to go there. So the fact that they were able to get this without touching the starting pitching, which they did not want to do. I mean, they kind of ventured into looking at it a little bit this winter and really decided that they didn't want to. I think that you can look at this, and I thought it was, marginally improved, the lineup on Friday when we were in here in the morning. But now you add Polanco to this lineup, and the lineup on paper, and I think in practice we will see, it is better than what they ended last year. And if you think about it this way, you think about what your bench is, this moves Dylan Moore to a full-time bench mode. He would have been in a platoon role. He kind of is your 26th guy right now. And so you think about different times in the season where they're all utility guys. You've got nothing but your best utility guy, a very proven, very good, used in platoon situations, is now on the bench. That's how much you have upgraded that lineup. And if I have it right, I would think that that actually bumps Sam Haggerty into
AAA.
AAA or an injury, your first guy up, if that happens.
Yeah, the first thing we thought when we heard about the trade was, oh, they're going to have to give up Miller or Wu. It's going to be pitching, and yeah, nice that they were able to work around that. And then the other thing is Topa. I mean, that one kind of, that
hurts. No, that hurts.
He was great last year.
They need work.
He was great.
Even before this, I think they needed to add something established to that bullpen. And this is the one place where I have concern, because if you think about it, they ran kind of as a three-headed monster for the last couple of years, and they have not replaced Paul Sewald. That has not happened. In fact, you've taken a step back in losing Justin Topa, who was very good for this team last year. So there's work to be done there.
But I feel like they don't just happen into it. But I feel like over the last few years, I remember when Topo first came in, we're like, who's this guy? And developed into a really
like
good
everybody
player.
else. Who's Penn Murphy?
Yeah.
Who's Paul Sewald?
And look, I don't want to sit there and count on that every year, but it seems like they don't have a problem with that.
Well, it's funny because I was on the show with Salk on Friday, and he asked, am I not allowed to say that on this show?
Joking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I talked about you guys. No, I didn't. There was rapid fire questions that I got, and who could be the breakout, who could be the comeback, and what are you most feel best about, and what's your biggest concern? And the bullpen on Friday was definitely my biggest concern, but I threw in there, it's been my biggest concern the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And every time I've been proven wrong. But yeah, they're, by all appearances, they're thin there. They have, year after year after year, put together a good bullpen. We'll see what happens.
By the way, I'm sure you were following it online or whatever, but there was a rumor about their interest in Dylan Cease. Do you take that seriously, or?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
odd.
it's one of those that just doesn't make a ton of sense. And we've been looking at the pitching, and when I say we, I'm not talking so much about we have to, because these rumors are out there, but I think they have firmly established and did so almost from the get-go that they really want to keep the guys that they have. And if you were going to add something, it was going to be offensively. If you had the pieces to get a Dylan Cease, why wouldn't you throw that at offense? And, and we've said the same thing about Blake Snell. And I think that there had been some thinking, well, you can sign Blake Snell if you trade somebody. But that's never been, I don't think that's ever really been the situation, in that they're going to do, make a trade and then sign somebody. I think, where they are financially, that's a big risk if they were to do something like that. And I also think that, I think it was kind of telling, and it was kind of a small footnote, but when they traded Robbie Ray, they talked about balancing where they are in salary, and they were very pitching heavy. Their most of tens of millions were on the pitching side, and they do kind of want to. And when you have young pitchers the way that you do, it's easier to do that. So I think that they realize their strength is their young pitching.
Quickly, 10 seconds. Are they done? In terms of maybe they're going to add to the bullpen, but in terms of offense, are they done?
I think so. This is the move that they were looking for. If you look at the lineup, I had kind of just different sheets. Okay, this is what it is today. This is what it would be if they added this piece. This is what it is against left, what it is against right. I think that this completes it with what's available to them. And if they, we take that they're serious, that they don't want to move the young pitching, then I think so.